Can we make it start now? Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially members from the media. Yesterday, two countries, Antigua and Barbuda and Tuvalu, launched a commission of SIDS, that is Small Island States, on climate change and international law. The commission was made operational yesterday, and it is actually designed to address the issues of loss and damage, as well as additional funding for adaptation and mitigation. But the main focus is on loss and damage. As you know, SIDS have been pushing to include the issue of loss and damage at various COPs. And it would appear that even at this COP, the issue would not be seriously addressed. And we believe that this is a very important issue for small island states. And we are pursuing this issue legally on the basis that he who damages must provide restitution. In other words, the polluter must pay. Now, this initiative is not intended to be an act of aggression. In fact, it is complementary in that all of the various efforts that we are utilizing to address the issue of climate change, we have now brought in a legal component which will help to address the issue of the abuse of fossil fuel energy. In fact, the excess use of fossil fuel energy in itself is a taunt on all of humanity, especially SIDS, small island states, that have suffered disproportionately the consequences of climate change. And again, it's very important that we fight in different fronts. And we operate on the basis too that in order to get justice, climate justice, we have to pursue different initiatives. And this is one of the newest initiatives. In fact, I want to take the opportunity to commend the Prime Minister of Tuvalu for his leadership on this issue, and also Professor Akhavan, who has agreed to chair the legal team that will be responsible for providing the necessary advice and direction to the Commission. The Commission is open to all small island states globally, and even though there are two members that started it yesterday, we expect practically all members of AOSIS, all small island states globally, to become members of this Commission as we seek to fight the issue of loss and damage and to make sure that we disincentivize the use of fossil fuel energy in order to reduce emissions. Because when you look at the commitments that were made, we believe that we are unlikely to attain the 1.5 degrees Celsius, and as a consequence, we can expect more loss, more damages within the Caribbean region, Pacific, as well as Indian Oceans. And in that case, we have to make sure that we take the necessary steps in order to get these large polluters to reduce their emissions in order to protect our respective countries. So again, this is proactive leadership, and it is designed to complement the other initiatives that are taking place here at COP and in other fora. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask my colleague, co-chair of this new commission, this Small Island State Commission on Climate Change and International Law, to take the floor, and then his statement will be followed by a brief statement from Professor Payan. Professor Payan, who will give brief remarks. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Antigua and Barbuda, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank the organizers for this very important opportunity, where we have yesterday we have signed an historic accord to establish a commission, which is very important to Tuvalu. The cause of this commission is very much supported by my government and my people, and we welcome the initiative, and we also look forward to working together with my colleagues from Antigua Barbuda and also from the representative of the UN. As Prime Minister Antigua Barbuda mentioned, we are one of the country in the region, the Pacific region, who is very much impacted by climate change. And the support that we have provided to this commission is, is in our interest, and we really strongly support the establishment of this commission so that it acts as an avenue for us to move forward our claims and also our interests in the destruction of climate change to our island countries. As you may or may not be aware, the capital of Tuvalu alone is seen as 40% of the land area goes underwater during high tides. And that is a very strong reason why Tuvalu want to use this commission to push forward our request through the means or the tribunal to bring it up to the International Tribunal for Law of the Sea and also the ICJ. So, Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister. So we'll now hear from Professor Payam Avannath.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Ministers. I'm greatly humbled to be able to assist in this historic initiative. One can say that small island states are the canary in the coal mine of climate catastrophe. They know better than anyone else what awaits all of humanity unless drastic steps are taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But I would briefly say that what we learn in first year in public international law course is that states should not do harm to others. As the Honourable Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda said, the polluter pays. And we are no longer in the stage where there's a shred of doubt as to the consequence of continuing business as usual with vague commitments and empty promises. We know what is going to be coming in the coming years in terms of the deterioration of the situation, especially for small island states. And it's, I think, very commendable that these two leaders are now inviting all small island states to join forces to mobilize the power and legitimacy of international law and courts and other institutions to change the conversation from one of vague voluntary commitments to legally binding obligations and compensation. And it will be my honor to assist all the governments that wish to join this commission. Thank you.
Okay, we thank you, Professor Akavan. And we will open the floor quickly for perhaps a couple of questions. Time is of the essence, so we'll have to be very quick. Thank you very much. Excellency, straight ahead. Okay. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello there. My name is Saxon Bosworth from DLV Online Media.
Okay.
Thank you for taking this question. Good morning. I wanted to ask you about the tourism industry, which of course is so important for you as small island states. Of course, there is a great ratio of employment that depends on this industry. and to take Antigua and Barbuda, for example, some very interesting initiatives such as being involved in the Green Fins UNEP program, the banning of plastic bags and polystyrene, etc. I wonder, of course, these are great programs, but of course all of these tourists have to arrive at your island states, either by flying or by cruise ship. I wonder how you as island states can work with these travel organizations, and you talked about encouraging the top polluters. You know, these flight companies and cruise ships are, of course, great polluters in and of themselves. So I wonder how you as governments can collaborate and work with such companies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Evidently, we must continue to keep our island country pristine. And the issue of emissions is a major issue for us. As you indicated, both air and sea transportation, those are major polluters. But we're quite sure, based on the improvements in technology, that those issues will be addressed in due course. We're aware, for example, that the cruise ship sector, that they will transition initially into LNG and then subsequently renewables. So it's an area in which we continue to work with the international community so that they could develop the necessary technology to ensure that those vehicles or those ships and planes, that they are powered by green energy. As you know, we have made a lot of progress in terms of motor vehicles. And by 2030, in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, we expect to phase out all of the vehicles that are powered by fossil fuels and to have all electric vehicles or green energy vehicles. So again, you know, we are not quite there as yet. It's work in progress, and it's one of the areas in which we'd like to see a significant amount of progress. Okay, young lady on my left, in the red.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, and it's just, yeah, it's wonderful to be here and to see Antigua and Barbuda and, of course, Tuvalu taking such strong action. I'm Director General, Anne Gallagher, Director General at the Commonwealth Foundation, and the Commonwealth, of course, welcomes both of these countries as members. My question is really about how this commission is going to work, because it is very clear that existing rules of international law have not been utilised to their full extent to hold countries to account for actions that they know are causing damage and continue to cause damage. So this is such, for an international lawyer, this is such a wonderful and welcome and overdue development. How is it going to work? And also, how can the international community, and I'm also talking about the Commonwealth, international institutions within and outside the United Nations, how can they support this in very practical ways? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Professor Akhavan to address that issue, but I'm aware, though, that this issue will be addressed under the United Nations Convention Law of the Sea, and there will be certain questions that will be put to the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. So I'll ask Professor Akhavan to elucidate on that issue.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I'll be very brief. The agreement was concluded just yesterday. So the Commission is 1 day old, and you see before you the honorable co-chairs, and it will now be necessary in consultation, hopefully with other AOSIS members who will join the Commission, to hold consultations on how best to adopt a strategy that will develop international law in the right direction. So I would not presume on behalf of the co-chairs or the additional members who hopefully will join to already have a specific plan of action. But it is very clear that we are at a constitutional moment for international law of the environment. Like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 spawned multiple treaties, new customary law, new enforcement mechanisms, and we hope through various mechanisms, including potentially requesting an advisory opinion from the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, given the central role of the oceans in global warming as the biggest sink, and also the ocean space being of fundamental importance to island states, to possibly pursue that path to explore the obligations of states in respect of the protection of the marine environment. So I think that's all I could say at this stage, and hopefully it will be possible to collaborate with the Commonwealth Foundation and a number of other institutions in this regard.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Are there any other interventions? In fact, I think we may well have to wrap up. I've been advised that time has come to an end, and let me thank everyone for participating. I thank the distinguished Prime Minister of Tuvalu and, of course, Professor Akhavan for their input, and certainly the members of the press. And we're also counting on your support as well as we take up this new initiative that is designed ultimately to get the large polluters to reduce their carbon emissions as we seek to have a safer planet and ultimately to, let's say, protect human civilization. Thank you again for coming. Cheers.